Well, let's start speaking to the experts, and I would speak to Julius Jima and then Dr. Peter Terkper. They both are well versed in this area. So we'll start with Dr. Peter Terkper. Doc, good morning. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning, and thank you very much too.
Did the finance minister yesterday answer the questions you had on your mind as of last week and the weeks before that?
To a large extent, yes. Yes, because the budget is actually supposed to be premised on what the government wants to do in the medium term, especially with what they campaign about. And if you look at it critically, unless somebody didn't read through the document, they have actually fulfilled what they said they would do. That is one thing. It is the implementation is also another thing. But for now, what they said they will do, they have indicated that indeed they are going to do, and they've made provisions for it. And so, yes, my expectation to a large extent was met. And again, the way the document was summarized, I think that it's a good document. Those who did the summary did a very good job.
Right.
It didn't take much hours to be able to finish it. So to a large extent, yes.
You look at our domestic debt exchange program and the payments over the last 4 years, you're looking at 150.3 billion, representing some 11.6% of the GDP in the domestic debt service obligation. You're looking at 73.3% due in 2027. That's 57.6 billion. And in 2028, you're looking at domestic debt obligations. February comes, July comes, and then there's the month that follows. The government has big ambitions, but with this burden hanging around their shoulders, are they able to do what they say they will do?
In fact, it's a real tough time ahead for this government, looking at what they said they want to do and what is at stake. But it's like a blessing in disguise. What it means is that you now have to look within, how to tighten your belt. In fact, government has to learn how to be tough on itself, how to be very disciplined on the fiscal space, especially on spending. And when they do that, look, they can achieve what they want to achieve. Because the challenge we have with government spending is slippages, wastage, procurement gaps, delay in making payment, whereby when people are signing contract with government, they double or they quadruple the cost, because he knows that if I have this contract with government is going to take me several years to pay. And so something that will cost like 1 million, he will price it 5 million to take care of inflation and then depreciation of the currency. If government decide that we will do what is within our means within a short period, or as we will only use what is available to do what we want to do, so that we don't have to go into too much and many projects that will not pay, and then interest will be accruing, which at the end of the day will be cost, like the road sector, for instance.
Right.
I can assure you that government will save a lot of money to do what we want. So fiscal discipline is the order of the day.
Now, in terms of fiscal discipline, the opposition, or if you like, the minority, are already accusing the government of running or claiming to run a lean government, but then that is costing us more than what the supposed elephant government that the government of the day had at the time. It doesn't tally. And the question is, how does a lean government spend more than an elephant-sized government? Is a key question.
Well, to be able to actually appreciate what they are saying is for us to compare. Because you see, when you want to do analysis and you don't have data to compare, then you will be doing analysis based on conjecture or based on extrapolation. The reason is that if you are saying the lean government is costing us more, then you should tell us that during our time, we had this number of ministers. We have 88, we have 100 ministers. It costs us 1 billion. Today we have 60 ministers. It's costing us 1.5 billion. And this is the reason. Then we can better appreciate. But if no data is put out there, I will not be able to tell that indeed what they are saying is true. Because what I know is that, one, there has been reduction in ministries. Definitely there are savings. And we cannot say that, look, the government has been in power for how many months? After we say they have spent more than...
No, under 3 months, actually.
Exactly. So that can be true. In fact, if you look at it from even that perspective, government is still appointing. So he's not even finished done yet. Board members are not even appointed yet. So in that case, how then do you say that they have spent? Unless those who put out the information did not put out exactly what they said. But if they are saying that government is spending more than what they have with their size, I mean, let's be objective. It can't be possible. It can't be. What is the data then? Or you have any data?
No, I do not have the data. Now let's look at the industrialization conversation. We've always been talking about how to industrialize, and we've been telling people that, well, let's get to it and then let's stop the paper talk. Do you get a sense that this government is going to walk the talk of industrialization so that the dependency on importation is reduced to the barest minimum?
In fact, the president said that he wants to move away from the usual rhetoric and now focus on action-driven projects. So, and then look at action-driven, implementation, and that is what we want. So, the industrialization has become a term that we have been hearing from every government. Now it's time for us to actually put it into practice. Now, industrialization also must be domestic focused, because if you are industrializing and then it is dominated by foreigners, you are not helping the economy. That is the reason why your CD will continue to depreciate. So it is not, that's why you even have a gold board, but the CD will continue to depreciate, because you know what? Gold revenue alone cannot sustain the CD from depreciating. Because if you have industries that are dominated by foreigners, and then we don't have joint ventures, where at least part of the funds will stay, then there will continue to be capital flight. Now look at our sector. Every sector is dominated by foreigners. So even though you will be expanding, that's why when people are talking about GDP expansion or growth as a yardstick for determining the success of the economy, I don't agree to a large extent, because it's not about you growing, but how are you growing? That is the most important thing. So if you are growing based on foreign support, and you are not growing based on domestic solutions, then of course you grow, and at the end of the day, the growth will subdue you because you are not benefiting from the growth. So industrialization is the way to go. But 4 years is not enough for us to industrialize. But we can start from somewhere. And it depends on how this government is going to let us know that indeed I meant what I said about industrialization. That's that each sector will intentionally create industries that are local based to benefit the economy.
At the end of 2024, government owed IPPs $173 billion. And if you want to industrialize beyond the raw materials and the human resource machinery, you also need power or energy to be able to industrialize. These IPPs who are owed so much, we owe ECGs 32 billion CDs, and the list is endless. You need to have a certain conversation that will induce the trust of these IPPs and the many others that are connected in the mix before you can take your industrialization proposal to them. Will this conversation be easy to have?
It depends on government priority areas. If you look at these IPPs, the question is that how can it be that government cannot also self-finance some of these things? We can go for soft loans and build our own power plant and compete with these IPPs. The reason is that we have Akosovo Dam, we have Vinyari. We cannot, the same plant, the Ameris that somebody has brought from somewhere. Government can also not partner an institution and go for loans and do this and extend it, so that power will be cheap. Because you see, when you want to industrialize and you don't have reliable and cheap source of power, you are still going to go to square one. Somebody is going to benefit. So industrialization is an intentional process. It's a policy rollout that cannot be done as a political policy that is being rolled out, but it must be done as a national policy that is being rolled out. And I think that it will take a selfless leader to be able to do that, where you don't look at what am I going to benefit. That is why if President Mahama does not succeed, then I bet you that it will be difficult for any government or president to succeed, because President Mahama is the one who has the best opportunity to change Ghana, because there is nothing that President Mahama should be lacking in terms of who he is and what he wants to do. And so he should really have the political will to say no to sometimes some of the foreign pressures. Because sometimes the reason why we are not able to do what we do is that when you invite or focus on foreign support, certain things that you can do, they will tell you it's not doable by your own. But you realize that when it is closed, for instance, today that Trump has closed, he's stopping aid from coming. You see that we are now looking for how to get our own support. That is what it means. It means that there are things we can do on our own. But because we rely on the foreign support, they are investors. Investors want higher returns. So definitely he will tell you that this thing, I can do it. But I can bet you that if Ghana wants to build its own power plant, I will say we don't have engineers that can support to build power plant. Nkrumah started it. Look at the things Nkrumah was doing. We were producing our own cars. How come we stopped? It was Ghanaians are the ones supporting these international, these countries, these developed countries. Go and see. Most of the advanced countries, Ghanaians and Africans are the ones driving most of their major infrastructure development. So we can do it, but we need political will. And so once the government of the day says that I want to prioritize the national interest, then we can, of course. You are coming from a political party, so you cannot take the political party out of the equation. However, once the nation or economy succeed, that political party will continue to enjoy the goodwill of the people, and that is what is very important.
Dr. Peter Terkper, I thank you very much indeed for your time. We're grateful.
Thank you very much, too, for the opportunity.
And he's an economist joining us here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.